Ciao Juventini of the world, my name is Giuseppe, welcome back on the channel. I know how you are feeling frustrated, you are feeling angry, and I tell you, I am totally aligned with you. I have exactly the same feelings. But it's Monday, and it's the start of a decisive week for the Bianconeri, on and off the field. If on Wednesday we will understand if we will receive our 15 points back, 15 points that now are crucial and vital, because before Lazio and Sassuolo, we were even dreaming about arriving top 4 without receiving the 15 points, even if it was still possible, because we know that the teams that are ahead of Juve were flopping. Well, after 2 consecutive losses in Serie A, it's really now crucial and vital to receive them. Otherwise, let's say how things are, it will be nearly impossible to achieve it. Then, Thursday, Sporting, Europa League. The margin that Juventus won 1-0 against Sporting in our home was not enough to be relaxed and tranquilly to go to Portugal and dreaming about being easily on the field qualifying for the next round. No, it will be a big battle. And then, end of the week, Napoli. Napoli that beat us 5-1 in their home. They will know if yes or no they still can believe in Champions League dreams, because they will have to play against Milan in the beginning of the week. Well, it's a week that is decisive for the future of Juventus. We are speaking already about 23-24. If you still have the energy, the courage and the will to like a Juve related content, I invite you and I kindly ask you to like the video. If you didn't yet, please subscribe to the video. And now we start with all the news regarding Juve, and also telling you why I am as frustrated and angry as you are at the moment. Yesterday I told you that it was not only important for the first team to win their game yesterday, it was also important for the next gen team with Kenan Yildiz that started that game. Well, they lost 1-0, and the dreams to qualify to the playoff is now really hard. Only one game to play, and they are not master anymore from their own destiny. The only team that did well yesterday, if we can call it like that, at least in terms of hearts, are the Juventus women that were led 3-0 in first half. Luckily, before the first whistle, they were able to score the 3-1, and then in the second half, big remontada, 4-3. A heart that probably we totally missed in our first team. First team meant that yesterday we were looking for that heart on the field, and we were absolutely not able to see it. Corriere dello Sport started their pages with La Juve si sgonfia, deflated Juventus, because this is what we saw yesterday. A Juventus that after the month of March was really believing in a lot of objectives, qualifying to Champions League 15 or not, that since April totally deflated. Tuttosport is going even more harsh and totally correct with Juventus, you are a crying Juventus. Because yes, we will speak about Fagioli. I want to come back on the tears on Fagioli, but here we have to speak about Juventus as a total. That was really a crying Juventus. Not only Fagioli was crying, but I believe that during the 90 minutes and after the game, all Juventini of the world were crying in terms of performance, in terms of result, because it was nowhere near the Juventus that we wanted to see. I spoke a lot of times about bad performances on this channel since last year and this year, and I can accept bad performance. I don't like them, I don't want to see them, but I can sometimes accept bad performance. A player that is not informed, Allegri that is missing a choice, an option from the starting of the game, or rotation, or from the bench, or tactically, I can understand and I can speak about football. But what I don't accept is what happened yesterday, and not only yesterday, actually since the month of April. I come back on that. It's the fact that yesterday, it's not that we played bad, it's just that we didn't play. And this is frustrating. I don't go with a lot of graphs and stats, but just look at the average possession of our beloved Juventus yesterday. Juventus in the pink dots or purple dots, whatever you want to. Look how low we are. It's really a disaster. It's absolutely not acceptable. Yesterday I was looking at the stats, and you know that a lot of people, yes, they always tell me, Beppe, but look at the expected goal from the opposition team, look at the possession, look at the total attempts, and so on and so on. Well, all these stats were for Juventus, but I don't care. I don't care about the stats if I see the performance that Juve had yesterday. A Juventus that had absolutely no idea what to do, and I even had the feeling, the sensation that Juventus didn't want to. They arrived in the Mapei Stadium like, we don't want to play, we're thinking about Sporting, we think think about managing the energies, and I'm not only speaking about the players but also the coach, that with the predicted lineup we understood how important the game of Thursday was, but probably also we understood that we didn't care about playing well, or at least playing versus Sassuolo. Yesterday we see it for 85% pass accuracy, but it's really wrong if you are looking at the passes in the second half, in the opposition half, 68%, and it starts to be really a disaster if you are looking at the final third with only 58% pass accuracy. If you're looking at Sassuolo, 74% pass accuracy in the final third. Only these stats I want to talk about. Juventus has absolutely no idea what to do with the ball when we go in opposition half, and this is a problem that didn't start yesterday but since the beginning of the season, something that we have to correct as soon as possible. Gazzetta dello Sport with a double page is saying una signora da piangere, an old lady that makes you cry. Yes, they make me cry. And it's not only yesterday. Look, there was one big mistake that I want to blame Allegri for. In press conference, he's always saying something totally correct that I totally agree with him. Let's make abstraction from the 15 points, from the off-the-field topics. Let's think about the points that we did, because we deserve to be second. By the way, now we are third. But let's think that we are second because of what we did on the field. 59 points is what we have. We can't think about the month of April in a block, 9 games. We have to think game by game by game, because all of them are finals. All of them will open you the door to fill the agenda in the month of May. I totally agree with that. But then if you are looking at what we see on the field in terms of the people that were lined up, in terms of rotation, starting lineups, but also the behavior of Juventus on the field, you see that probably Allegri is saying something in press conference and we don't see it since the international break. Look at the average position versus Verona, where Juventus has the black dots with only Moiskin super high on the field. All the other ones are there, really low. The same thing happened in Coppa Italia, and if you probably don't see the big difference here, it's because Inter was not that great in that game. It finished 1-1, and we know all the controversy, but speaking on the field, also here a really low Juventus. If you're looking at the first half of Lazio, look how low Juventus is. In a total game, you will see Juventus a bit more higher, but it's because Lazio, they decided to give the ball to Juve that had no idea what to do with it. But in first half, look at Juventus refused to play. More than first half, by the way, 70 minutes. And then you see the game versus Sporting, exactly the same, a really low Juventus. I tell you, and I repeat you, for me, Juventus, they saw the 9 games of April and decided to manage the energies. They decided to manage it. Parts of the game, they decided to wait and believe that something would happen like it happened versus Verona, and this was a big mistake for Juve. Still 4 games to play, and I told you how decisive they were. Sporting, Napoli, Inter, Bologna in April, and Bologna, pay attention because they are in a big form. So Juventus will have to wake up. They will have to decide to play, and we will know if yes or no they will take their responsibility to make sure that we forget what we saw yesterday. Then let me come back on the tears of Fagioli that yesterday a lot of people, not everyone of course, but a lot of people started to blame. First of all, I have to say one thing, correct one thing, because I saw manipulation of what happened. I know there are a lot of people that are anti-Allegri, a lot of people are pro-Allegri. I try to be objective. I try to be objective with my own ideas. You see it since now nearly 9 minutes. I'm speaking about the wrong choices and what we can blame to Max Allegri. If there is one thing that you cannot blame, is the substitution of Fagioli that was already planned with players that were already waiting on the sideline to enter. He does that mistake, Fagioli, that is offering the goal to Sassuolo, and he's immediately changed, not because of the mistake, but because it was already planned, and because Fagioli was playing a really bad game. If you don't believe me, yesterday I was on Twitch during the watch along, and I repeatedly say how invisible Fagioli was during the game. Not only him, of course, but also Rabiot, for example. But that's why he was changed, and not because of the mistake. I saw a Fagioli devastated after Lazio, where he misses a goal that was quite difficult, and he was really angry. Yesterday we saw the kid in tears. Well, guys, this is one message. He knew and he knows that he missed totally what he had to do. He knows that he's responsible for it. Let's not hide it. He is responsible for the ball that he's giving because he's doing a big mistake. Is he responsible for the total loss? Absolutely not. Look at Juventus. Look at the ratings of Juve. Look at the rating of Max Allegri. Everyone is at fault for a really awful, really not only game of Sassuolo, but the entire month of April. Not Fagioli. Fagioli that we all were praising for being one of our top midfielders this season, for the growth that he had, one of the future leaders of Juventus. Some people were even dreaming to give him the 10 in the future. You can't start blaming or pointing a finger towards a player that is doing one mistake. And this is absolutely not correct. We should be a bit more balanced in judging mistakes because everyone is doing mistakes. The tears of Fagioli, I can understand them because it's a kid that really wants to do well, understanding the moment. Then, of course, when a Juventus is really strong and everything is doing well, you don't cry because of a mistake, because Juventus is solid and strong. But can we speak today about a solid Juventus? Absolutely not. That is targeted on the field, that is playing bad on the field, that is not having the result that we want to, that we are not able to perform as we want, and that there is a big target from all the anti-Juventini world on and off the field. I understand the pressure that this kid can have. Anyway, yesterday a disaster performance from a lot of players. And again, best of the field and Gatti and Perin, the same as versus Sporting. And when you know that for 2 consecutive games you have the goalkeeper and a center defender that are your best men, well, there is a big problem. We continue, guys, with Juventus stop, l'Europa è lontana, Juventus stop, Europe is far away, because look at the ranking of Serie A. Well, I don't want to go through that, but if we don't receive our 15 points, it is a total disaster. Juventus is too ugly to be the real Juventus. It's also a fact. Anyway, Gazzetta dello Sport, l'Europa vi guarda. Europe is watching you. Speaking about Napoli and Milan that will play the return game in Champions League against each other, but also about Lukaku and Inter. È finita. It is over. Double page with Lukaku and a big cross over him. Well, I think Gazzetta has a problem because I don't know what they will speak about in the future if Lukaku will not continue with Inter. We know it in the last 365 days how many times Lukaku was on their front page, and if not on the front pages, he was on a double page inside because they love speaking about Lukaku. If you don't believe me, look at all the 365 videos and don't forget, of course, to put a like when you watch them again, and you will see how much they spoke about him. Anyway, maybe they will start speaking about what is really happening. You know that this evening on Rai 3 there is a report, a documentary about what happened really during Calciopoli. They will go back with leaked phone calls, something that all the papers are starting to report, like Tuttosport and so on and so on. What really was hidden during the time of Calciopoli, looks like Gazzetta dello Sport, they didn't care at all about it. Everyone is speaking about it. Everyone wants to know the truth, even if there will be no consequences, because we are speaking about so many years after. Well, they don't care. But it's really strange because I was there in 2006. I remember how much we were on the front pages being already guilty from Gazzetta dello Sport, saying that Inter had nothing to do with it. After so many years, we are back. We are speaking about it, and Gazzetta dello Sport is totally consciously ignoring what is happening. I will come back on the documentary of Report this evening. Grazie, forza, Juve.